Have you ever found yourself looking at your grandchild and thinking, wow, no one told me it would feel like this? Not just the joy of holding that tiny hand or hearing their laugh echo through the house, but the way they seem to open a part of your heart you didn't even know was still waiting to be opened. See, people talk about grandparenting like it's just a reward after years of parenting, like it's all cookies, cuddles, and weekends filled with cartoons. But there's something much deeper, something richer. And honestly, it's not talked about enough. That surprising, soul-deep joy that sneaks up on you in the quiet moments, the ones no one prepares you for. Like when your grandchild mispronounces your name in the cutest way imaginable and suddenly, that becomes your new identity. Or when they ask to hear one of your old stories, and for the first time in decades, you feel like a living treasure chest of memories. In this video series, we're diving into the joy of grandparenting, what they don't tell you. We're peeling back the curtain on the hidden magic of this role, the kind that doesn't make it into parenting books or Hallmark cards. Because beyond the diaper changes and weekend babysitting lies something transformative. We'll talk about the unspoken emotional gifts, the unexpected personal growth, and the science that shows how grandparenting can even improve your brain and body health. Whether you're a first-time grandparent or you've got a crew of grandkids already, you're going to see this journey in a whole new light. Before we keep going, I'd love your help with something. If you're enjoying this video so far, comment Y below. If not, comment N. It helps me know what's working and what to improve. And don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Now let's dive deeper. Let's start with something most grandparents never see coming. How much your sense of purpose can shift in the most beautiful way. When we retire or slow down from our careers, a lot of people worry they'll lose that drive, the why that used to get them up in the morning. But when that little grandchild shows up in your life, something clicks. It's like nature hands you a new mission, but this time, without the pressure of parenting. You get to be the safe place, the gentle voice, the wisdom they don't even realize they're absorbing yet. And in doing that, you get something back, something grounding and deeply fulfilling. I once spoke to a woman named Evelyn, a retired teacher in her late 60s. She told me, when I stopped working, I felt like I had no more use. But then my daughter had twins, and suddenly I wasn't just retired, I was needed again. I was important. Evelyn wasn't just helping her daughter. She was reawakening a part of herself that still wanted to nurture, to teach, to love with no agenda. And science backs this up. A study published in the journal Evolution and Human Behavior found that grandparents who provide occasional caregiving, without being overwhelmed, report higher life satisfaction and lower levels of depression. The reason? It's that renewed sense of relevance. You're not just passing time, you're passing down you. Your values, your stories, your resilience. That sense of legacy isn't just poetic, it's deeply psychological. We need to feel like we matter, especially as we age. And grandparenting, in many ways, is nature's way of handing us that gift. But it's not just about purpose. It's about presence. Children live so fully in the moment. One minute they're building castles out of couch cushions, the next they're crying because their banana broke in half. But in their world, there's no, I'll deal with it later. There's only now. And if you've spent years chasing deadlines or raising your own kids while juggling 3 jobs, that kind of presence can be disarming. Many grandparents I've spoken to say it's their grandkids who taught them how to slow down, how to notice the smell of crayons, how to really taste an ice cream cone, how to laugh at the same knock-knock joke 12 times and still mean it. These are things we often brushed aside when we were raising our kids, simply because there wasn't time. Now, you get a second chance. But this time, you're not the director of the show. You're just part of the moment. And that shift, it's healing. There's even neuroscience to back that up. Engaging with young children activates areas of the brain linked to empathy, memory, and emotional regulation. In fact, functional MRI scans of grandmothers looking at photos of their grandchildren light up differently, more intensely, than when they look at photos of their own adult children. It's like the brain knows. This bond is special. And you feel that, don't you? That spark, that gentle ache in your chest when your grandchild reaches for your hand, or when they tell you they love you in that raw, unfiltered way only a child can. No one prepares you for how seen you'll feel, how healing it is to be loved for simply being there. Now, of course, every grandparenting journey is unique. Some of us live near our grandchildren, while others only get to see them a few times a year. But that connection isn't measured by miles, it's measured by moments. The stories you share, the silly games you play, the ways you show up, even from afar. In the next part of this series, we're going to talk about something just as powerful, but rarely discussed: the emotional healing that can happen through grandparenting. For many people, being a grandparent gives them a second chance to love in ways they couldn't the first time around. Whether it's repairing strained family ties, rediscovering parts of yourself, or simply showing up in a new, softer way, there's a quiet kind of redemption that comes with this role. Stick with me, because the best is yet to come. Before we begin, I want to make one thing clear. This video is for informational purposes only, and is based on publicly available research. Everyone's health is different, so always consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your lifestyle, diet, or exercise routine. Scientific knowledge is always evolving, and what works for one person may not work for another. Now let's get back to something that's quietly transformative, something we almost never talk about when it comes to grandparenting: healing. It's no secret that parenting can be tough. Most of us raised our kids in the middle of chaos, working long hours, juggling bills, trying to do our best with what we had. And if we're honest, there are probably a few things we wish we could go back and do differently. But life doesn't usually give us do-overs, except maybe in the form of grandchildren. One woman I met at a community center told me something that stuck with me for weeks. Her name was Rosa, a soft-spoken retired nurse in her 70s. She said, "I was too hard on my kids. I didn't mean to be. I was just so stressed all the time. But with my grandkids, I get to be softer. I get to say yes more. I get to sit and listen. I get to love without all that fear weighing me down." What Rosa shared is something many grandparents feel, but don't always say out loud: that this stage of life can be a second chance, not to undo the past, but to show up differently now. And in doing that, something inside begins to heal. Maybe we forgive ourselves a little more. Maybe we find peace with how our story unfolded. Maybe we even mend broken pieces in our family that have gone untouched for years. In fact, a study published in the Gerontologist found that grandparents who felt emotionally close to their grandchildren reported significantly higher levels of life satisfaction and emotional well-being. The researchers concluded that the relationship can provide a sense of continuity and closure, especially when the bond includes emotional honesty, storytelling, and shared values. This brings us to something truly beautiful: the opportunity to share your story in a way that matters. Grandchildren, especially as they grow older, crave connection with the people who came before them. They might not say it out loud, but they're curious about where they come from. And your stories, yes, even the ordinary ones, become the threads that tie their identity together. When you talk about what it was like growing up, or how you met their grandmother, or the job you worked for 30 years, you're not just entertaining them, you're helping them build a sense of who they are. And in the process, you remember who you are too. There's something grounding about telling your story to a child who sees you as a superhero. They don't care if you weren't perfect. They care that you're there, that you're sharing something real. I know a grandfather, Tom, who lost his wife a few years ago. He was quiet and withdrawn for a long time. But when his grandson asked about how he met Grandma, something opened up. He said telling that story, again and again, brought her back to life in a way. It didn't erase the grief, but it softened it. It gave him a way to carry her forward. And here's something else they don't tell you about grandparenting: how much you'll grow. We think of personal growth as something that happens in our younger years. But grandparenting has a way of waking up parts of you that have been sleeping for decades. You become more patient, more open, more curious. You find joy and simplicity again. You learn new ways to connect, whether it's figuring out how to FaceTime a toddler or helping with virtual school assignments you never thought you'd touch. Even biologically, this growth is real. Neuroscientists have found that engaging with grandchildren, especially in emotionally meaningful ways, can boost cognitive function. A study out of the Women's Healthy Aging Project in Australia found that grandmothers who spent one day a week caring for their grandchildren performed better on memory and processing speed tests. Of course, the key here is balance. Too much caregiving can cause stress, but a moderate, joyful involvement appears to stimulate the brain. And there's something else, something that might surprise you. Grandparenting can reshape your own relationships, especially with your adult children. Sure, there may be moments of tension. We'll talk about that more in part 3. But many people find that becoming a grandparent helps them understand their own kids in a whole new light. You start to see the pressures they're under, and your heart softens. You remember what it felt like to be in their shoes, and suddenly the past seems less rigid, more forgiving. One man named Jerry told me, "When I watch my daughter with her kids, I finally get it. I see how hard it is, and I wish I had been gentler on her when she was little. But now, I tell her that. I say, you're doing an amazing job." And that has healed more between us than any long conversation ever could. There's power in presence, power in saying, "I see you now," whether it's to your grandchild, your grown children, or even yourself. And all of this? It adds up to a life that feels fuller, not just busier, but richer. Grandparenting isn't just about giving, it's about receiving. Receiving joy, purpose, wisdom, laughter, love, and, maybe most importantly, peace. Peace that the journey still has so much beauty left in it. In the next part, we're going to talk about the challenges that come with grandparenting, the stuff no one likes to talk about, but everyone experiences. Boundaries, different parenting styles, feeling left out. These are real, and they can be hard. But there are powerful ways to navigate them with grace, and even grow closer because of them. Don't miss it, we're just getting to the heart of it. So far, we've talked about the joy, the healing, and the unexpected growth that come with grandparenting. But I think it's time we pause for a second and get real about something else, something just as important. It's not always easy. That's one of the biggest things no one tells you. Yes, it's beautiful and rewarding, but it also comes with its own set of challenges. And if you've felt any of them, confusion, sadness, frustration, you are absolutely not alone. Let's start with boundaries. That's a big one. You may have raised your kids one way, and now you're watching your children raise theirs very differently. Maybe it's the food choices, or the discipline style, or the amount of screen time. Maybe it's something as small as bedtime routines, or as big as whether they're even allowed to visit your house without asking first. Whatever it is, the truth is, it can feel like walking on eggshells sometimes. You want to help, but you don't want to overstep. You want to share your experience, but you don't want to offend. It's a delicate dance. One grandmother I spoke with, her name was Jeanette, said it best. "I felt like I had to relearn how to be a parent, but this time with my mouth shut." We both laughed, but there was a real ache under that joke. She loved her daughter and her grandkids deeply, but she felt invisible in the process. And that's a tough feeling to carry. But here's the beautiful thing Jeanette discovered, and what many of us eventually do. Sometimes love looks like holding space. It looks like being a safe place without always needing to fix, advise, or correct. It looks like saying, "I'm here if you need me," and really meaning it, even if you're not called upon. Now, that doesn't mean you stop being yourself or keep your mouth closed forever. It just means timing matters, delivery matters, and most of all, relationship matters. When your adult children feel respected and supported by you, they're more likely to open the door for your wisdom and guidance, not shut it out. Research from the University of Oxford actually supports this. One study found that positive relationships between grandparents and their adult children were directly linked to more meaningful involvement in their grandchildren's lives. The key: respect, flexibility, and emotional support, not unsolicited advice. And sometimes the challenge isn't with the parents. It's with the logistics of staying connected to the grandkids. Maybe they live far away. Maybe they're in school all the time or buried in extracurriculars. Maybe you only get to see them on holidays or Zoom calls, and that can be hard. You can love someone fiercely and still feel like a stranger in their daily life. But here's where we get creative. One grandpa I met, his name was Vince, started sending his grandkids short videos every week. Nothing fancy, just him telling a story from his childhood, or reading a funny poem, or even showing them how he makes his famous spaghetti sauce. It wasn't about being tech-savvy. It was about showing up consistently in a way that said, "I'm thinking of you." And it worked. His grandkids started sending videos back. They built their own little rhythm, one that didn't rely on geography but on heart. It's also okay to acknowledge something we don't often say aloud. Sometimes being a grandparent can bring up old wounds. Maybe your relationship with your own kids wasn't always smooth, and now that they're parents, you see them making different choices, or even better ones, that can stir up regret, shame, even envy. It's human, and you're not bad for feeling it. But here's the hopeful part. Grandparenting gives you a chance to move forward with intention, to release guilt and lean into grace, to remember that it's never too late to offer love, patience, and presence, even if your past wasn't perfect. And if things feel tense or distant right now, whether with your children or your grandchildren, that doesn't mean the story is over. Relationships evolve. People change. Healing is always possible, even if it comes in small, steady steps. One woman I know, Clara, didn't meet her first grandchild until he was almost 5. There were family complications, arguments, distance. She told me, I thought I had missed my chance. But when I finally met him, and he called me Nana for the first time, it was like a door opened. And I just walked through it. The door can open. Sometimes we just have to keep knocking, gently, patiently, lovingly. And then there's one more challenge we don't talk about enough: letting go. Letting go of control. Letting go of the fantasy of how you thought things would be. Letting go of the idea that your worth is measured by how much you're needed. Because here's the quiet truth. Even when they don't say it, even when they're busy or distracted or grown, they do need you. Not in the way they once did, but in a deeper, quieter, more powerful way. They need your steadiness, your stories, your perspective, your unconditional love. And that is a gift only you can give. You may not always get the credit. You may not be at every game or every birthday. But your presence, the way you see them, believe in them, root for them from the sidelines, that presence echoes through their lives in ways you may never fully witness. But it matters, more than you know. In the final part of this video, we're going to bring it all together: the joy, the healing, the challenge, and talk about what this stage of life really offers. It's not just about being a grandparent. It's about being fully alive, fully present, and fully you. Stick with me. The best part is yet to come. We've talked about the magic of grandparenting, the kind that fills your heart and spills out in unexpected laughter, surprise connections, and quiet healing. We've also acknowledged the real-life challenges that come with it, the tricky boundaries, the long-distance gaps, the shifting family dynamics. And now, here we are, at the part no one really prepares you for: the deep, soul-satisfying joy of realizing you still matter. Yes, you matter. In a world that sometimes whispers that aging means fading, grandparenting shouts something else entirely. It says, you're still a foundation. You're still a storyteller. You are still a source of light, laughter, and learning. And no matter what's changed, your career, your mobility, your social life, your ability to shape a life with love has only grown stronger. That's the part they don't tell you. That becoming a grandparent isn't just about adding a new role. It's about rediscovering your essence. It's about peeling back the layers of hustle and responsibility and remembering who you really are deep down. Someone who has so much to give. And here's the beautiful irony of it all. Even as you pour out love, you are being renewed. Neuroscience tells us that the act of nurturing others, especially across generations, triggers powerful responses in the brain. According to research from the Women's Healthy Aging Project in Australia, grandmothers who provided moderate levels of care for their grandchildren actually had better cognitive performance than those who didn't. It's like the brain says, "Oh, we're still needed? Let's stay sharp." Even more, studies have shown that being an involved grandparent can reduce feelings of loneliness, increase purpose, and improve emotional resilience. In other words, loving others makes you stronger, wiser, healthier. But here's something else I want you to take with you. It's not just the time you spend or the advice you give that matters most. It's your presence. It's your ability to show up, not perfectly, not always, but consistently. It's the little moments, the stories you tell, the snacks you make, the funny inside jokes only you two understand. And if you're thinking, I haven't done much of that, or I'm just getting started, then guess what? That's okay. There's no clock ticking on connection. Every moment is a chance to build something new. Whether your grandchild is 5 or 45, it's never too late to be a comforting voice, a wise cheerleader, or just someone who listens. A grandfather I met named Ray once told me something I'll never forget. He said, "I used to think my job was to teach them lessons, but I realized my real job is to be the lesson." That hit me hard. Because he's right. Kids may not always remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. They'll remember your patience, your encouragement, the way your eyes lit up when they walked into the room. And even if life's been complicated, if there are regrets or rifts or missed years, it's not too late to reach out. Even a single moment of honest connection can soften years of silence. I've seen it happen. I've lived it. That first call, that unexpected hug, that little note that says, "I'm thinking of you." It opens doors. So wherever you are in your grandparenting journey, new to it, deep in it, or wishing for more of it, I want to remind you of this. You are not just babysitting. You are not just the backup plan. You are a legacy in motion. When you tell your stories, you pass on identity. When you laugh with them, you pass on joy. When you show patience, you pass on grace. And when you simply love them, exactly as they are, you give them a sense of safety that can last a lifetime. It's the little things that last. A nickname, a recipe, a bedtime story told over and over again. These are the invisible threads that stitch generations together. And they're stitched with love, yours. Before we close, I want to share one last thought. A quote I love by Fred Rogers, who knew a thing or two about shaping young hearts. He said, "Anyone who does anything to help a child in their life is a hero." That's you. You're a hero in quiet clothes. No cape, no spotlight, just love, consistency, and heart. And the world needs more of that. So here's to you. To the messy, magical, sometimes maddening, always meaningful journey of being a grandparent. May you keep growing, keep laughing, and most of all, keep showing up. We'd really love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions for future topics or questions you want answered, write to us in the comments below. We're here to help, and your input could inspire our next video. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on more practical tips for healthy aging. Here's to living your best life at any age.